All right. Who who do we have on this with us today? I can't see anybody on the screen.
Why can't you see anybody?
All right. Joey's here. Who
I'm here.
else? Who's on here? Who's
Ruben,
that? Ruben?
yes.
Ruben, I got you. I got Ruben, Gavin, Grace, and Joey.
Hey, I'm
Anybody
here.
else?
I'm
Gavin,
here.
got you. Julie, you're here.
Yes.
Uh,
Chef,
Kalia's here.
Asha can't turn her camera on, but she's here. My phone is fucked up. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, Asha's here. That's right. My computer's messed up. That's why I'm on my phone.
No, my
All
computer's
right.
messed up too. I don't know what's going on with it.
So I'm just gonna go over where we left off. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about culture, but I'm gonna go through some other stuff first. All right. So it's managing performance. So the reason we manage performance is to get an optimal result of the employee and hopefully get more motivation out of our staff. All right, get more focus and more conscious awareness of what they're doing. So it's better to be proactive than reactive. So proactive means that you're gonna schedule, a review to go over the performance, or you're gonna sit down with them weekly and review what they're, how they're doing on their stations, you know, how everything's going. To be reactive is usually, in the middle of a rush, jumping, down somebody's throat because, something bad happened. You know, it's like that bad, reactions aren't good. Excuse me. And so this is all about on the job training. So the best thing to do is to try to be as proactive as possible. So with that, you're going to get continuous improvement. You're going to get, regular feedback. And so it helps the, employee adjust continuously. So it's just going to be good, good work practices. All right. So it's early problem solving. So it catches issues early. It boosts engagement because you know that you're getting the feedback and you're growing in your skill sets. It's goal aligned because with better focus, the goal is going to be attainable. Is the career development, for the same reason, skill sets, and you're advancing in your career. And it creates a better, bond between the employer and the manager, or employer and the employee. All right. So when you have a form, you always want to make sure all the pertinent information's on it. You know, like of course, employee name, their title, and the date, and of the review, the assessment period, the annual objectives, and you put goals in there also for the employee. You did well, you achieved your goals on from your last review, and now here's the objectives of the business, and here's some goals I'd like to see you accomplish again. You know, duties, and how you rate their duties. It goes, the same way when you were grading in the classroom, grade the performance, preparation, the uniform, professionalism, all that. And mention their strengths, and then other areas where there could be more development. You know, so it's pretty good. And usually, what a lot of people like to do nowadays is they like to use a what they call a sandwich method. That's where you compliment the employee first. Then you're going to talk about the growth areas. And then once you get that, then the final thing is the encouragement. Now, I've heard some people say they don't like, so when you give the sandwich method, it's called a critique. They don't like to use the word critique because they think it offends people because it's critical. But you have to, be real about it and say this is wrong. You can't just, candy coat it. We're in an industry that moves too darn quick. All right. And for the way we move, it's crazy. You know, so the compliment. Oh, I love that. So what I wanted to do for a discussion, I don't know. For instance, do you guys at your job have SOPs? Bueller?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Do you follow
Mm-hmm.
them? All right. You know, do you help set the culture?
Us, no. Don't we? We're supposed to like follow the culture.
Yeah, but when you're following it, are you helping to set the culture, as a precedent? This is the way it's always going to be.
Yeah.
All right. Do you carry a level of professionalism or are you like me?
I definitely censor myself a lot more like at work and stuff just cuz like I don't know, I do know those people, but I don't know what they're going to tell other people or how they might react if I talk a certain way.
No filter.
Now, a bunch of you may not believe this next sentence. It's just like Joey just said. I censor myself so much that to me, I feel it's a little ridiculous. And a lot of people may say, you censor yourself? And yes, I do. If you don't believe me, you can ask Chef Eric. Compared to the way I used to be in a kitchen to the way I am now, I am very censored. I am very delicate. I'm a delicate flower. And don't laugh. I am. I'm a rose. Unlike any other rose. You got to watch out for my thorns. All right. So, thinking about some of the things we talked about last class, what type of manager do you think you're going to become? You're going to be X, you know, Y, or Z? So autocratic, democratic, or are you going to be laissez-faire? Think about that. You know, when we talked about progressive discipline, I think I mentioned it's a courtesy because Texas is a right to work state. So you don't need a verbal warning, then a written warning, then a final warning, and then action. Usually in Texas, they come up and you usually know what's going to happen. For instance, if you come to class without 100% uniform, you already know what the consequence is going to be. You're going to get dinged on a grade. So it's the same thing in your job. If you come to work and you're, only working 50%, well, you're going to get dinged on the job. That's going to go into a performance, file. And so when they do a review, it's going to come up during the review that, hey, do you remember this? And you're going, what the heck? Well, because the manager's usually going to jot it down and put it in a file. So when they go to do your review, they'll pull the file up, they'll get everything in line, they'll get all their notes ready so they can have, clear critique for you. right? And, you know, I love some of these, things that they talk about, like how to be more careful with the employee. So that was that. So the next thing up is the assignment. So on the assignment, I'm going to go through it and hopefully make it a little easier for y'all. So it's about a high stress situation. We're supposed to jot down high stress situation and what we, and then how did we, react? How did we adjust? What solution did we come up with? And all in a nutshell. So when it comes to high stress situations, you're going to be entering them all the time. I feel I've been very fortunate that I started out in the industry and I progressed in I would say in a average time frame. And during that time frame, I got to experience everybody else's stress, which helped alleviate a lot of my stress. And I can remember, stress happens all the time. But because of the way that I was looking at it, I was able to handle stress better as, I got hit with it. So I'm going to go over my little stress story. This is just, a little one from the industry. So here it is. The normal meal times on the 4th of July, Labor Day weekend, Memorial Day weekend, UT graduation week, and of course, Mother's Day and Valentine's Day. In the industry, what would happen in the establishments, our business would increase our production by about 30 to 40% just on those particular days and weekends. So if we normally would do 1,500 covers, then you got to think we do approximately just a little over 2,000 covers on each day. So we learned how to handle it. The extra pressure and stress. Well, we learned about it from past history. So we take the history and we look at what happened and we adjust to the future. So what did we learn? What did we do? What did we do? So one thing is we knew to increase staff on those days. Extra prep cooks, line cooks, expo personnel. We'd run 4 expo stations versus the typical 2 stations. So we'd gear up extra runners to speed the expedition orders to the dining room. So we beefed up the bulk of the staff. We increase our orders. We'd increase our orders so much that we would have 2 semi trucks parked out back of our restaurant. And one was our extra dry storage, and the other one was our extra walk-in and freezer. So not only was our dry storage full, our walk-in full, and our freezers full, but now we had 2 40-foot trailers filled with extra product. Why? Because we didn't want to run out. We wanted to maximize every penny in everybody's pocket. So, with those, we would just run back and replenish everything at the end of every day. So with the preparation in advance, we would avoid the stress and turn it into a game of accomplishment. And this is what became really fun. So we would compete with ourselves to beat the last hour of production. So it turned out that we created a new record in doing this. And what I mean by that is every hour you have a certain amount of sales. And with the computers, we would just go up and we go, I'd walk up to the computer and I'd just hit it up and I'd get the last hour of sales. Every hour we would do this, and I'd say, okay, good. Last hour we did $8,700 in business. And it's like, oh, we can do better than that. Let's do better. You know, and then everything would get, be more people, more people, more people. And eventually we came up with our best hour ever, which was over $17,000 in business in food and beverage in 1 hour. That was our record. That was our busiest darn weekend. We did $100,000 in one day. All right, so that's a lot of darn business. And so with that, you also have to maintain quality and efficiency. And because, we're pretty much making it a game, there was very little stress. So our ticket times, believe it or not, were 20 to 25 minutes. So our food was just flying out the door. And there used to be a little game I would play. You would have about 25 tickets to 35 tickets on every station. And I would just walk behind the line, just grab 10 tickets from every station, and I would just throw them up in the window and I'd say, sell it. And the expos would grab the tickets and make the cooks catch up. So there's ways of dealing with stress and like I said, we turned it into a game. All right. And it was I thought it was lots of fun. I don't know if the cooks did, but at the end of the day, they loved it because everybody got rewarded. I would run to the store and buy the alcoholic beverages and reward everybody. So with that, I posted that so you guys can work off of that. So I did this assignment, it didn't take long. If anybody needs to do any past assignments, let me know what I have to open up. And I think we should be good. This is our study hall or our live session 2. So with our live session 2, guys, get to work on whatever you need to get done. Submit it and stay on top of everything. So Grace, Ruben, Gavin, Joey, Julia, Kalia, and Asha. Is there anybody else that's here for attendance?
I am.
Matthew, you are. Is that it? All right. So I'm just going to cut it short here because I'm doing it from my phone. So we don't have the echo or the computer freezing up. And you guys do your assignments and turn them in. Heard?
Heard.
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 All right. Y'all have a great day.
Sounds good. See you.